people in the last class not thinking that when I meant correct, that I meant that they should mark it right or wrong. And I did want you to mark it wrong. All right. So 2/3 with positive, negative 1/3 negative, 4/1. So I'm going to highlight the answers. You need to make sure that you have yours corrected and that you've had that right answer. On that second page, remember we talked about simplifying. So if we had this negative 2/4, we're going to probably have a negative 1/2, right, for an answer. 3/7, 6/2. So always getting it to that final answer. Knowing when it's undefined, which way the line slants. Okay? Questions on any as you looked at my answers and you weren't sure. So that first one, number 1, yes, you could have had a negative 1/2 on that. We are handing this in, so I would like by your name the number you got wrong on the whole sheet. So go through and please correct. If you got it wrong, put a check mark by the answer. If you're having a hard time reading something, please ask. If you want me to go through one, let me know which one. Couldn't find it. Anyone else not have theirs or couldn't find it? You don't have it anymore? Okay. So here's what we do tomorrow. Okay. Same with you. Okay, just set it aside for now. Those of you that have yours done, make sure you got your name on the top. I don't care on the top of which page. And if you would please derive
the equation of the form y equals x, y equals mx plus b. I can find the slope and y-intercept of a function. I can define initial value for each change in the y-intercept of a function.
So up to this point, we've had this equation. Please write this on yours. Y equals m times x. And the m, what is one of the words we use for m, Tanisha? Slope. Another word we used for the m was what, Johan? When we started the unit. We didn't start with slope. We called it the what? Okay, remember, Nikita? The unit rate. So, unit rate, when it is proportional, right? Or sometimes referred to as the slope. It says in this lesson we're going to be investigating how adding or subtracting a number to a proportional equation will change it. The number we are going to be adding is going to be called the b value. So now instead of just y equals mx, you're going to see an equation that looks like this. Y equals mx plus b. Okay? We're going to see what happens when we add this, how it changes our line. We're going to be using the Desmos calculator again, but you do not need your computer yet. Okay? Are you able to keep your hands off of her, or do I need to move you? I need to move you, or you think you'll be fine? Okay. I don't have a lot of empty desks in here. I have 2. So we have a very full room this period, so there's not a lot of corners or spaces to put some of you, but we can find them if we need to. If you were going to continue reading, Wally, would you read what it says, the y-intercept?
The y-intercept of a graph is the point where the line crosses the y-axis. The y-intercept can be anywhere on the coordinate plane. The y-intercept is usually by the b variable.
Represented by the variable b. So, you will notice that it will always be on this y-axis. So right up here, please put y. You're going to notice that it's on the y-axis. So the vertical line going up and down, that's our dependent variable, that's our y. Remember, this is our x, that's our independent, okay? So in a proportional relationship, when we have y equals mx and we had no b, it says the b is the origin, 0, 0. And that's because plus back here is this number 0. Okay? So in a proportional relationship, right, y equals mx, it always goes through 0, 0, 0. Are these three lines proportional? Do they go through 0, 0? No. This one, the y-intercept is equal to 1. I would like you to put right below that parentheses 0, comma, 1, back parentheses. So the y-intercept at this one is located at 1. But we write it as an ordered pair as 0, 1. With the rest of that a little bit. Thank you. If we are looking at the y-intercept on this graph below, what I want you to do is tell me, and I'm gonna just have you talk to your shoulder partner and tell me where is the y-intercept on both of these located. Okay? So tell your shoulder partner, do that right. This one, if we are looking at it, is going to be Riley where? -1. But now if we want to write it as an ordered pair, we are going to write it as 0, -1. The second graph over here, Isaac, what'd you have for the y-intercept? 2. And again, if we wanted to write that as an ordered pair, it's going to be at 0, 2. So today when we write y-intercept, I'm going to have you write it just as a number, and then we're always going to write it as an ordered pair, okay? Because I want you to always be thinking it is this point on the y-axis. It's not the point over on the x. It's not this point. It's always on the y. So that's 0 with a number, okay? Right below where it says problem 1, on the top of the next page of your notes, I would like you to write this equation. And I know you don't have as much room as I did. I kind of spread my notes out. I want you to write y equals mx plus b. Right below where it says investigating equations and graphs, I want you to write y equals mx, and make sure you don't put mxb, it's mx plus b. Okay, I just happened to walk by someone's and they had mxb. We want this to definitely be a plus. Because in each of these first three, when we go to graph them, we want to write down what is the m value. We're going to do that before, for these first two, we're going to do it before we even go to our calculator. So, the first one is always a little tricky. Anyone want to guess what our m is? Raise your hand. What is the m in that first equation? Y equals x plus 3. Raise your hand. Paul, you got it? You're stretching. Is it 3, the m? Is it 1? Is there a 1 in front of this x if there's no number? Yes, so m is 1. What is the m in the next one? 1. This one says, what number b is being added in each to this equation? So the first one, Aaron, we'd say? 3. It's a 3 or plus 3. Okay. In the second one, what number was added? -2. Okay. The next page down in your notes, that next part down, the second half, I would like you to do the same thing. This is the m, and this is what's being added. Please do that and check with your shoulder partner. Okay? Okay? Equals mx, right, plus b. So you were asked to find what is the m in this equation. The m is 2. Deshaun, the m in the next one is 2. If I'm looking, Caden, for the m in that third one, -3. Haley, if I'm looking for the m in that last one, -3. Jeffrey, if I'm looking for the b, going back up here, I'm looking for what was added or subtracted. What was added? So what was the added, right? That's what it's asking us in that column. What number b is added to the equation? Should be -3. Grace, how about the next one? Plus 4. If I'm looking at the next one, I should have Nolan? -2. If I'm looking at the last one, Emma? -3? 0, right? Was there something added to that last one? Okay, so everyone have all of those filled in. Okay? All right, now you are going to go back, and my hint is you want to keep your notes open today, just like this, because we're going to be answering the questions and they all refer to this page, okay? But we are now going to go to your computer and we are going to put in the Desmos calculator. So you're going to type in, right? So you're going to type above each of these, please write Y up here, and this is your X. This is your Y-axis, this is always your X. So it says, where does it cross the Y-axis? It crosses it at, what was this point? 0, 3. Okay, so go back to that first one and put 0, 3. We are now going to graph that second equation, y equals x minus 2. Okay. So putting in number 2. We're going to leave that first one, then I'll show you how you can erase those. Y equals x. Ooh, what do you notice we just stopped there?
The line.
The lines are what?
Parallel.
Parallel. And we had plus a what? Negative 2. Okay? So, now, the nice thing about the Desmos calculator is if I don't want to have both of these up, I can just click on this, and it takes that first one away. And I click on it again, and it's back. And I click on this one, and it takes it away, and I click on it, and it puts it back. So in that second one, we should have a point on when you draw your graph at 2, 0, and then I should also see this point down here at 0, negative 2. Okay? So, on yours, make sure you answer that last question. We're going to take a look at that in a minute. Okay? So you should have an answer back here also. We're looking on, remember, this one says on the y-axis. So we're really looking for what are these points, right? That's what the 0, 3 is. Now you're going to tell me this new one. Now, when you go to your calculator and you're going to graph, you're going to put in that next one that's right on your, but we don't want to show these two lines because you should have answered those questions. We're going to go to y equals, the next one, Nikita, was y equals what?
Y equals 2x plus negative 2.
So we're going to put in 2x, and it was plus a negative 3. And when you look at that, if you want to zoom out or zoom in so that you can see that better, and then this is the home button, okay? So it always kind of takes you back. And then put in your second equation, which was y equals, and we had 2x plus 4. What happens if you don't put the x and you just put 2 plus 4? Look at this graph. What's 2 plus 4?
A line.
What is 2 plus 4?
6.
6. Where is this going through?
6.
6. So if you don't have an x, what kind of a line do we have?
A straight. Not
Parallel. All of them are straight, but it's not parallel, it is, what's the word? Like the horizon, horizontal, right? So, make sure you put your x in. And now, please fill in those next two answers. Once you do these two, okay, so where is your y-intercept, right? Draw them. Kind of get your graphs. You can kind of see those 2 points, right? So that your graphs for each one, draw them on your paper. And then put in the first page. You had 0, 3. The next one going down, Janessa, what did you have for the where it crossed here? 0, negative 2. Okay. here, what did we have that point, Ramiro? Where does it cross the y? Way up here at 3? Ah, 0, -3. So, if I'm walking around and I see 0, -3, and I do not see parentheses, it's wrong. 0 and -3 without parentheses is like telling me there's two answers to a problem. One's 0 and one's -3. It does not tell me the location of this point. So you must have the parentheses. Sherika, you ready for the next one? 0, 4. If I'm looking at that next one, what am I going to have, Irvin?
0, -2.
0, -2. And my last one should have been where? Where is that last one going to? Should be at 0, 0. Okay? So it is really important when I look at yours that this number here, that's always the second number, right?
Yeah.
Look at your equation. Where do you see it in the equation?
The last one, right?
It's the added number, right? It's the plus b, okay? So, we now need to answer these questions. Okay, so keep your notes open, and you might want your calculator because you might want to put them in your calculator to help you with it, okay? So, the question says, when you have a positive b value, is the y-intercept above or below the y-axis?
Below.
So I want you, before you're blurt, you're going to look, and you can write things down, and you're not going to say it out loud. So I want you to look at the first one, right? That was a positive. +3. Is it above this x-axis or below it? It was above. Let's go to the next one and look. Take a look at that bottom page. When we had +4, where was it? Above. 0, 0 wasn't, 0 isn't positive or negative. So our answer for that first question should be above. The next question says when it's a negative value of b, please write down your answer. Don't say it out loud. The y-intercept, is it above or below? So you just wrote that first one. Okay, you just wrote this first one. You're going to help me keep track of it. Okay? So if you notice your shoulder partner isn't writing, nicely help them and say, oh, you know what? She just gave us these two answers. We're doing this one right now. That is a good thing because we need them to have their notes filled in just like you need yours. So do it nicely, but help them out. So when it was negative b, where was it? It was below. This next one says, what is the y-intercept in each of these equations? So I want you to write right behind this first one. We're going to write down b, and we're going to put b equals what? b equals 1. Then please write the ordered pair right below that. What would the ordered pair be? 0, 1. Please write the next one. Don't say it out loud. And then write it as an ordered pair. And the last one. In your homework tonight, you're going to be asked to identify what's the y-intercept, what's the slope. Okay? Yep, so you're going to keep them on track, okay? Okay, some of you have answers for all three, some of you don't yet. You should have the first one, b equals 1, 0, 1. We'll wait for you. I want you to have a chance. -4, and then the ordered pair should have been what, Zach? 0, -4. If I'm looking at that next one, Emma, b was -8. Wally, the ordered pair was 0, -8. Okay? Tanisha, this next one says, if we look at the first two graphs, what was the same about them? So I want everyone to go back to where you had your first two and only show the first two. Okay? And you might look at the first two. So by clicking on that, right, that shows it. What's the same? Tanisha. They both have what? They're both parallel. I agree. They are both parallel. But what's exactly the same in their equations?
They're 2.
What was exactly the same? The M or the B?
It's x plus something.
The what? What's exact? I want you to look at these two. What's exactly the same in these two equations? The X, but it's the M. So when we take a look, what is the M called? What word is the M?
Slope.
It is the slope. So it says when I look at the first two graphs, what's the same about them? Slope. Someone said, can I put, they have the same M? You can, but make sure you write this word slope. If your shoulder partner isn't writing, elbow. Nudge them along the way. What about the middle two graphs? What did you notice about these two graphs? What's the same?
They're both the M.
Same. How about the last two? Last two have the same M, right? So we should have same slope, same slope. And what's nice is if you wanted to, and you only wanted to look at two of them at a time, we can look at those last two by just clicking on that once I have all three of them, right? All six of them. So the next question says, the graphs that have the same slopes are blank to each other. I've heard many of you use the word. They are
Equal.
no, that's not the word I'm looking for.
Parallel.
Parallel. I heard it many times earlier. They were all parallel. Okay? So please write that word in your box. Parallel. Quiet. If we are looking at this next one, it says if we change the B value, does it affect the slope?
Yeah.
It'll change the weight.
Okay, so some of you are saying yes. So if I look at, let's look at the middle two. Okay? If I look at those middle two graphs, they have the same slope, and the y-intercept in the first one was -3, and the second one is 4. Does it change the slope, the slant of the line?
No.
No. So what we want to do is we want to go back here, and it says, if we change the B value, does it affect the slope of the graph? Our answer should be no. And the reason it is no, it doesn't affect the slope or steepness of our graph at all. What does it affect? It affects the y-intercept, which just means the point on the y-axis. That's all y-intercept means, is on that y-line. So the next one says, well, if we change the m value, does that affect where it goes through the line?
Yep.
Does it affect the y-intercept?
No.
No. If you change the m value, the question is, does it affect the y-intercept? No. What does it affect? It affects the steepness, right? If you change the m affects how steep your line is, the unit rate. So it doesn't affect the location, y-intercept of the graph at all. M is for the steepness. Now I know some of you only like to write the yes or no, and you don't like to write the rest of the phrase that I have up there. But I do have that written up there, and the reason I moved it to the side is because there's kind of a lot to write, and a lot of you can read that writing better than mine. So yes, I was intending for you to put that down in your notes. All right, we just have one little bit left in your notes, right? Just that bottom page, okay? So now you are going to be asked to write. Are we ready to go on? Does everyone have this down? Okay. If not, the notes are posted online. So at the top, please write y equals mx plus b. M is right below that. Let's write the word slope. Right below the B, please write the word y-intercept right at the top of your notes. Thank you. On this last page, right by problem 3. It says describe and compare the graph of y equals 4x minus 1 and y equals 4x plus 3. Use the graphing calculator if you have trouble visualizing. So what you could do is you could go and put down in 2 more equations, right? You would put in y equals, what would our new one be? Y equals 4x
minus 1.
So put that equation in, right? I'm going to put in the last equation if I can't figure out how they look the same or how they look different. And then it says describe them. So the graph of y equals 4x minus 1 and y equals 4x plus 3. What would you say about those two lines? And what I want you to do, think about doing it on your calculator. Remember when I did that equation y equals 4? What's the y-intercept on that one?
7.
What is our, don't blurt, please just wait, all right? So if I look here, my y-intercept is 4, but the equation we had before was 4x, right? And it was plus 3. The last one that I asked you to put in was get an equation that's parallel, or that is horizontal, and goes through the 3. So y equals what? If I put y equals negative 6, did that give me where I wanted at y equals negative 6? You didn't mean negative 6? What did you mean? Oh yeah, we're not doing the 4x one. We're ignoring those two. We're just trying to get a parallel or a horizontal line through y equals 3. Through 3. Y-intercept is 0, 3. So y equals 3. Does this go through that point? Yeah. So as I'm looking at mine, write an equation whose line is horizontal and goes through 3. Y. Please write both down. Y equals 0x plus 3 and y equals 3. Please write both down. Some people like to put that 0x in. Other people like to write the least amount possible, which I'm okay with, which is just y equals 3. So now we need a slope of 4, y-intercept of negative 7. My equation will look like y equals, what is our slope? 4. And then the x is with it. Remember, slope is still just 4. And then I'm going to have a y-intercept of negative 3, so plus, or negative 7, so plus negative 7. Now I will have people always wanting to write this with the least amount possible, and they'll put this answer, 4x minus 7. Are those the same?
Yep.
Yes, so I would take either one. The last two, I'm going to have you do, it says write an equation whose line is parallel to y equals negative 3x plus 1 and goes through a y-intercept of negative 5. Write that here. Don't say it, Morgan. Just write it. And then the last one says write an equation that's parallel in between these two. So I want your help. You might want to go back and watch the video today. But in this case, if it's parallel, Tanisha, what are we going to have? Y equals? And again, could we have y equals negative 3x minus 5?
Yep.
Yes. Between these two and parallel, y equals, it has to be what? 2x? 3.5. Could it be 3.1?
Yep.
Yes. Could it be 3.2? Yes. You will see on the notes in the homework that I give you a hint on making Tony's and Jason's, on making their tables. Okay? Yes. E8 is due 1 to 7. It's due for tomorrow.